No. And anybody else is lurking in the background. Hello and welcome. And, well, it's been a busy enough week. There's enough stuff been going on that it's never a shortage of topics to cover, that's for sure, especially with a lot of the international stuff that's been happening. So we get a few more on here and get rolling. I assume probably pretty much everybody has changed their clocks by now. So that's always a bit of a mix-up sometimes for some people, and myself included, in the mornings to get up and look at the clock and go, it's not right. Okay, so let's get going. The Qatar has been in the news. China's been in the news. U.S., Canada, and now even the UK. Look, the EU. Going to get into a few different things here, but man, oh man, I'm telling you, they're getting ready to come down hard on us poor innocent people. Just trying to get through our daily routines. And anyways, they don't like us to be happy, that's for sure. Those in power want all the power, and we're the ones that got to try to resist any way we can. I had I have an awful issue with Windows. I hate Windows. This was Saturday. I had everything all set up and all these different pages all ready to open up, and I worked on it for a couple of hours, and I walked away and come back about an hour later, and yeah, good old Windows updating, wiped everything out, so I had to start over again. Yeah. Nothing I can do about it. I'm stuck with Windows. But by the way, when I was looking at that, I was cussing out Bill Gates. I'm thinking, look, the guy's destroyed the environment. He's destroyed the economies. He's destroyed children's lives. He's destroyed any and everything he touched. The food. The guy belongs in the bottom of a medieval castle and left there to rot, and somebody could pull the stinking carcass out after and throw it in a hole. What a horrible person that guy is. Who we got here? We got John Renault joined in, Dennis, Faye, I'm sure you're not happy with the Blue Jays game last night, but hey, it is what it is. I'm not going to go into that. I watched the whole series. I didn't make it all the way through the 18 innings, so I made it to 13. Now, play a cone. Yeah, okay, let's get going here. Where am I going to start? I can't believe it. GNR Railroad. Let's see. I got to go to this one. Okay. I'm going to start with Newfoundland and ExxonMobil and Qatar. Wow. What's going on there? Well, let's take a look. Yeah, Qatar Energy has signed multiple deals with ExxonMobil for offshore oil and gas exploration in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. But these agreements do not specifically concern an LNG facility. There's no information in search results confirming a final deal to build an LNG plant. Okay, well, that wasn't the reason for the search. It was the agreement. The initial entry was in 2021. The first agreement involved Qatar Energy taking a 40% stake in an exploration license, which is located in the Flemish Pass Basin off the coast of Newfoundland. At the time, this was Qatar Energy's first foray into the Canadian offshore energy sector. We can't have LNG in Canada. We can't have oil, but Qatar can get in here and start doing a little searching to see what they can find. They can pilfer it. Carney's got a sweet deal lined up, probably with them, I'm sure. Exploration block expansion 2022. The companies expanded their collaboration by winning an exploration block called Parcel 8 in the Orphan Basin, also offshore Newfoundland. In this partnership, ExxonMobil holds a 70% interest and Qatar Energy holds 30%. I looked back at my videos. I remembered I made a video on Qatar, and that was in 2018, and they were out in UBC, and Ahmed Hassan was there. He was our Somali immigration minister that Trudeau so proudly appointed for us. And by the way, he's still sitting in the backbench. He was a minister of immigration, a Somali resident, appointed to immigration minister. I think we got a lot of Somalis in those years he was in. And he proudly claimed that when he finally got voted out, he was heading back to Somalia where he could live like a king on his pensions. He's still in there sucking up the money. He hasn't left yet. He got voted back in. Anyways, he was dealing with Qatar representatives. So the further acquisitions was in 2023. Qatar Energy later acquired stakes in 2 more exploration licenses from ExxonMobil in the Canadian offshore. Qatar Energy gained a 40% stake, and Exxon took a 28% stake. LNG deal confirmed. Well, no facility deal confirmed, rather, but that's because it's just in the exploration stages. So then I decided, well, I wonder what Qatar, they've got ties with Venezuela. So that was kind of, I don't know, I guess they have ties in a lot of different countries. But in Venezuela, they have a long-standing relationship that was formalized in 1973, characterized by friendship and cooperation, particularly in the oil and gas sectors. They're big on the oil and gas sectors. More recently, Qatar has emerged as a mediator in diplomatic channels between Venezuela and the United States, leveraging its position and history of hosting sensitive negotiations. Both countries are members of OPEC. I don't think that's going real good for them, actually. The bilateral relations, the formal or diplomatic relations, are established in May of 1973. And both countries have embassies in each other's capitals. They have economic ties, strong interest in fostering economic and investment opportunities, public and private, particularly focus on oil and gas. Oil and gas is the main link on all these different articles. The international alignment, the countries coordinate their positions on international issues and are both members of OPEC. U.S.-Venezuela diplomacy. Qatar has acted as an intermediary in communications between Venezuela and the United States, particularly when other channels have been tense. Motivation. This role is a strategic move for Qatar to demonstrate its diplomatic utility, reinforce its image as a neutral mediator, and potentially mend its reputation. They've been discussing Doha's efforts have included facilitating dialogue on issues like American prisoners, deportation flights, and potential energy cooperation. While multiple agreements exist between the two countries, a comprehensive list is not readily available. However, the countries have shown a commitment to strengthening their partnership through various sectors. One notable agreement focuses on taxation of income derived from real estate in the other country. Okay, that's just a quick little lowdown on Qatar and Venezuela and what they're up to in that country. Now, I was just wondering what the ties were, the tie between Qatar and China. As you know, Carney was just over in China, as was President Trump. Probably not received quite the same by Xi Jinping. But anyways, their ties are quite strong. Overview of Qatar-China ties. Qatar and China share a robust strategic partnership that has evolved into a multifaceted relationship encompassing diplomacy, energy, trade, investment, and culture. Established in 1988, these ties have deepened significantly since 2014, entering what Chinese officials describe as a, quote, golden era, unquote, of cooperation. This partnership aligns with China's Belt and Road Initiative and Qatar's economic diversification strategy while maintaining a balanced approach amid regional dynamics. That Belt and Road Initiative, what did Carney sign, or what did he agree to with Xi Jinping? We have no idea. They didn't get any deals, but did China get a deal? Are we going to get a Belt and Road through Canada owned by China? We never know. As of late 2025, bilateral trade and energy deals underscore their economic interdependence, though geopolitical concerns, particularly regarding U.S. interests, have surfaced in analysis. Diplomatic relations formalized in 1988, following an initial low-level contacts in the 70s. Early interactions were limited due to Qatar's British ties and China's ideological stance, but China's positive response to Qatar's 1977 oil nationalization laid groundwork for cooperation. All about oil and gas, right? The common denominator here. The first high-level visit occurred in 1999 when Qatari Emir Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani met Chinese President Jiang Zemin, resulting in agreements on investment protection, air transport, and cultural exchanges. Pivotal moment came in 2014 during Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani's visit to Beijing, where a strategic partnership was signed with President Xi Jinping, elevating ties to include policy coordination, connectivity, and energy collaboration. I would think Qatar had quite a bit of gas and oil of their own. You know they do. Economic ties from the cornerstone of the partnership, driven by complementary strengths, Qatar's vast natural gas reserves, and China's industrial demand. Bilateral trade has grown exponentially from 4.7 million in Chinese exports to Qatar, 1958-1970, to billions today. Key milestones include a 1995 LNG supply agreement for 2.5 million metric tons annually. The 2000 Joint Economic and Trade Commission launch at Qatar's 2015 establishment of the first Middle Eastern renminbi clearing center, facilitating yuan-denominated trade. Qatar's active participation in China's BRI, Belt and Road Initiative that is, with investments in infrastructure and finance. So Qatar's actively participating in China's Belt and Road. That's huge, that Belt and Road. It's covering a lot of the globe right now. In 2022-2023, Qatar Energy secured two landmark 27-year LNG contracts, 4 million metric tons per year with Sinopec and 3 million tons with CNPC, China National Petroleum Corporation, another 3 million metric tons. It included an upstream stakes in Qatar's North Field expansion, targeting 110 million metric tons annually by 2026. It's coming right up. These deals ensure long-term energy security for China, which imports over 40% of its LNG from Qatar. Qatari investments in China include stakes in mutual funds via the Qatar Investment Authority. What I'm getting at here, folks, is Qatar is out there trying to get as much LNG as they can, and it's going to China. The key trade economic milestone, 58 to 1970. Chinese exports to Qatar, 4.7 million, 70 to 79. Post-national trade growth, 73 million. It goes on. It keeps increasing, 380 million. 95, the LNG supply, 2.5 million metric tons per year. 2015, the renminbi clearing facility opened, first in the Middle East. 2023, 27-year LNG contracts, 7 million metric tons per year. That's for 27 years. Political and diplomatic cooperation. So they're politically aligned and diplomatically aligned with each other. Two nations align on multilateral issues, including UN advocacy for Palestinian rights and counterterrorism. I don't know how that goes together. That was formalized in 2017. They coordinate on regional matters like the Gaza conflict and Darfur issue. Qatar's mediation role complements China's non-interference policy, fostering mutual trust. China's not interfering because Qatar's going to be doing it for them. High-level dialogues continue with recent emphasis on global stability. Right. However, Qatar distanced itself from China's Xinjiang policies in 2019, marking a rare divergence. Their cultural and educational exchanges. So, they're doing some exhibitions of Chinese artifacts and the Islamic art over in China, and that's really nice for them. Military and security ties. Security cooperation is emerging but discreet, focusing on staff talks rather than major arms sales. Qatar acquired Chinese SY-400 short-range ballistic missiles around 2017, parading them on National Day. Joint counterterrorism efforts persist, though ties remain secondary to Qatar's U.S. alliance. Qatar's playing both sides of the fence here. They're basically joined at the hip with China and shaking hands with the U.S. 2024-25, Chinese Ambassador Zhao Lin hailed a golden decade of ties, deepened trust and multilateral coordination on Gaza. March of 2025, discussions on AI, manufacturing and cultural exchanges, including a forum on Chinese development impact on Qatar. June 25, Ambassador Zhao reiterated the golden era on the 11th anniversary of the strategic partnership, spotlighting, you got it, LNG contracts. July 2025, trilateral ASEAN China Summit highlighted Qatar's role in Beijing's regional outreach amid U.S. concerns over Doha's global influence. August 2025, Ambassador Zhao labeled ties golden despite regional constraints like Iran relations, underscoring predictable energy and investment flows. In October to November 2025, ongoing dialogues, including phone talks between foreign ministers, and events marking 37 years of ties, focus on stability and economic immigration. Okay, so where am I going with this? Thank you for hanging in here with all that. It's kind of a long-winded intro, but because there's a lot of stuff happening. But here's a video from OAN. And I will double check the audio to make sure it's good for you, and away we go.
The Qataris are the left hand of China, and Venezuela confirms it. America is 8 weeks into a military campaign against Venezuela and Colombia, and as I've said before, this is just a cover story. Yes, we're taking out narco-terrorists and making socialist dictators quake, but really, this is an all-out war against communist China and China's grip on the weakest chains in our hemisphere. China owns Venezuela. $60 billion in debt with every port controlled by China. Doesn't take a genius to figure that out. But a new angle of the story has just emerged. So whenever you hear Qatar, think China. In an exclusive report by the Miami Herald, we learned that earlier this year, the Qataris were neck deep trying to mediate a more acceptable regime change in Venezuela. Team Trump rejected it. Listen to this. According to the Herald, the Venezuelan Vice President, Delcy Rodriguez, and her brother, Jorge, the President of the National Assembly, quietly lobbied Washington, presenting themselves as the more acceptable alternative to Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro. They funneled these proposals through the Qataris. The Qataris presented the U.S. with two formal proposals, one in April and one in September. The pitch was this. The Rodriguez siblings were not associated with narco-terrorists. They could continue a smooth transition, and they'd do this peacefully, all while giving Maduro asylum in Turkey or Qatar. Secretary of State Rubio and President Trump took two glances at this deal and said, absolutely not. This was just Maduro China light. Trump was not being fooled. Turns out, when Trump was turning up the heat on Venezuela earlier this year, the Qataris intensified their lobbying efforts in the United States on behalf of Caracas. You see, U.S. officials have accused Qatar of providing shelter for Venezuelan dirty money, especially the dirty money of the ruling elite. Vice President Delcy Rodriguez maintains, according to the Herald, a significant relationship with members of the Qatari royal family, and it is with them she hides assets. Why does she hide assets? Well, she's not as detached from the cartels as the Qataris have presented her, and Trump knows it. Turns out Delcy and her brother are tied to money laundering and logistics for Cartel of the Suns. The cartel, State Department says, is linked to Maduro. All this was presented first to U.S. Special Envoy Rick Grenell, who then relayed all of this back to Washington while he was rescuing U.S. citizens jailed in Venezuela. Neither Grenell nor State Department have commented on this story. And why would they? America wouldn't even consider the plan, but it does give us some very important context. The hardliners inside Trump world, the Rubios, who know a lot about Latin America and how it is a front for China's U.S. invasion, knew this was a meaningless offer, born of sheer desperation, and that Qatar is a handmaiden for China and is now their mediator. Qatar is trying to save China's foothold in the Western Hemisphere. You don't negotiate regime change and trade one narco-terrorist puppet for a different set of narco-terrorist puppets and think we'll just go along with that. We're not. Qatar, who outspends nearly every country in the world lobbying right here in Washington, is also not some independent nation either. Qatar is a China proxy. Qatar and China have a deep partnership that goes back officially to 1988. China is Qatar's largest trade partner. Qatar exports oil and gas, and China imports goods and services. They're joined at the hip. But it turns out there are deeper ties between China and Qatar. It's historical and geographical as well. They've been longtime partners since the Silk Road days, and their relationship has only blossomed and bloomed into Qatar playing a key partner to China's Belt and Road Initiative. In September, the same month Qatar tried to push this China light solution in Venezuela, an article in Doha wrote, quote, "The Qatar-China relationship is currently experiencing its highest level in history, standing as a model of friendly cooperation and strategic partnership," said an official. The Qatar-China relationship is touted by both sides as being in a golden age. Chinese officials in Qatar praised the friendship between Xi and the Emir of Qatar just this last month. And just to reiterate, I've been saying the Beijing Bannon crowd are one and the same, remember? Well, the Beijing Bannon crowd is siding with China against Trump on Iran, Gaza, and Israel. And would it surprise you that the Beijing Bannon crowd has been attacking Marco Rubio and attacking Trump's Venezuela moves too? What a coincidence. Turns out again, this is exactly how China feels about the situation. And China is using everything in its toolbox to try and hold on to Latin America. From ensuring the Bannon Tucker Candace crowd mimics China's every talking point to leveraging China's left-hand men, the Qataris. And Trump is buying none of it.
Yeah. So there's that. That's a little bit of what's going on down in Venezuela. And we got, I decided to go a little deeper too on this because I was kind of wondering, I just kind of wonder if Brookfield management would have anything to do with this. You know where I'm heading. This is the Qatar Investment Authority. The Qatar Sovereign Wealth Fund has a long-standing and significant investment relationship with the global asset manager Brookfield. Their partnership primarily involves co-investing in major real estate and renewable energy projects worldwide. These are their key partnerships and investments. The real estate projects, Manhattan West, New York in 2015, QIA and Brookfield, that's the Qatar Investment Agency, and Brookfield entered a joint venture for the Manhattan West development. The QIA acquired a 44% interest in the multi-billion-dollar mixed-use project. 2022, the partners sold a 49% stake in one Manhattan West tower to Blackstone Real Estate for $2.85 billion. The Canary Wharf in London, I guess the Brits don't own any of that. Brookfield and the QIA jointly acquired the Canary Wharf Group, the largest property owner in London, for £2.6 billion in 2015. In 2023, the two parties committed an additional £400 million to reposition the estate and build new residential and life sciences projects. 666 Fifth Avenue, New York. In 2018, Brookfield signed a 99-year lease for the troubled 666 Fifth Avenue skyscraper, which belonged to Jared Kushner's family company. At the time, the QIA was a major investor in Brookfield's real estate arm, though both parties denied any connection between the QIA's investment and the Kushner deal. Oh, not to see here. Renewable energy. Isogen, Colombia. As a long-time co-investor in Isogen, a Colombian power generation company, the QIA has partnered with Brookfield Renewable on major hydropower acquisitions. In July of 2025, Brookfield and the QIA announced a joint $1.5 billion investment to increase their stakes in the company. The strategic alignment, global presence, the QIA is one of the world's largest sovereign wealth funds, and a strategic partnership with Brookfield has allowed it to expand its portfolio in key markets like the US and the UK. Long-term vision, both Brookfield and the QIA focus on long-term, high-quality investments across various asset classes, aligning their objectives for large-scale development and infrastructure projects. Emerging markets beyond their long-established partnerships, the companies continue to explore new opportunities. In May of 2024, the Financial Post reported that Brookfield and the QIA were exploring investment opportunities in China, even as other investors were pulling back. So Brookfield and the Qatar are exploring investment opportunities in China. I for sure would like to be a bug on the wall with that meeting between Xi and Carney, because I bet you Brookfield come up. And is Anita Anand just over in Qatar? I'd have to look that up. I'm not sure if she was or not. Let's see. What else? Well, This is from Marty up north. I just want to put this out there. And the time change really messing with your mind this year. Well, I'll tell you, Marty up north posted this, and this is the image that Marty posted, and as you can see, that's the rocks. So, but what are they doing? Well, Marty says, daylight savings time just ended. For all of you who like to complain about having to reset your watches, here's a picture of workers at Stonehenge in the UK moving the rocks to set the clock back. Good one, Marty. I got chocolate of it when I seen it. So we've had, what else have I got here on rock? Okay. Okay, moving on. Our digital IDs. I got a question. I want to see if anybody's got any idea at how many countries actually have a national digital ID so far. We know the UK just rolled one out. But any idea? Anybody got a number, a guess? How many countries have a national digital ID already? I'll give you a hint. Nigeria rolled one out, probably 5 years ago. UK is just bringing theirs in. So there's two. I don't see any guesses. So, about all of them. You're pretty close, Dino. You're pretty damn close, I'll tell you that. Take a look. And exactly what's going on here with this stuff. I've been ragging on this for a while. The overview of national digital ID systems. The digital ID, also known as EID or electronic ID. I gotta close this one down here. Refers to a government-issued electronic system that verifies an individual's identity for accessing online services such as government portals, banking, healthcare, and voting. Just a few things that are kind of important. These systems often integrate biometrics like fingerprints, facial recognition. Then there's mobile apps or smart cards and maybe mandatory or voluntary. As of November 2025, over 160 countries claim to have some form of digital or electronic ID system, with many in active rollout or full implementation. This is driven by global initiatives like the EU's EIDAS framework and the UN's ID4D goals. Implementation varies. Pioneers like Estonia emphasize seamless digital governance. Just what we want, eh? While systems in India and Nigeria focus on inclusion for unbanked populations. Challenges include privacy risks, data breaches, and digital divides. The benefits encompass reduced fraud and efficient service delivery. Okay, so this is on Grok. So one of the challenges are data breaches, but one of the benefits is reduced fraud. Okay, I don't know how it squares that. Below is a table summarizing select countries with established national digital ID systems based on maturity, adoption, and innovation. This is not exhaustive. Full global coverage exceeds 160 nations, but highlights diverse examples across regions. Estonia, they got a blockchain secured smart card or app for e-voting, digital signatures, and 99% of public services. India, the Aadhaar, since 2009, biometric linked 12-digit number for welfare, banking, and travel. Virtual ID for privacy. Singapore, 2003. Denmark, 2021. China, 2025. Nigeria, 2014. Wow, is that long ago? Belgium, 2003. Netherlands, 2005. Spain, 2006. Pakistan, 2012. Brazil, 2023. Australia, 2018. South Korea, 2012. Japan, 2015. Ukraine, 2020. Don't think it's coming here? You know it is. They're pushing it hard. It's right on our... It's on the top of the list of the Liberals to get this through. So, nearly all 27 EU members, plus Norway, Iceland, and Switzerland, have or are piloting digital IDs, along with the EU digital ID wallet rolled out by the end of 2026. Systems like Germany's EID and Austria's ID. Austria emphasize interoperability. Asia Pacific, that's Indonesia and the Philippines. Africa, Kenya's, and South Africa's Smart ID. The Americas, Mexico's digital ID. Notice what a lot of these countries have in common. They're all socialist. For the latest developments, systems evolve rapidly. China's 2025 launch, if you're interested. Okay, so that's that. So basically, oh yeah, it's coming, and it's coming fast. As a matter of fact, I've seen somewheres here that it's in Canada. Yeah, it's here. I just don't know where I've seen it. I can't try to bring it up right now. I'm going to look one more place maybe, but after. Digital ID systems in Canada and the USA. Those are the ones that really concern us. The overview and cross-border connections. Digital ID, known as digital ID or EID. We know what it is. I won't go through all that. Both Canada and USA are advancing these systems to streamline access to services, reduce fraud, and enhance online scrutiny, or security rather, scrutiny too. But approaches differ. Canada's is more federally coordinated with private sector input. Who's the private sector input? See, the USA is state-led with federal guidelines, but Canada's federally coordinated with a private sector input. Somebody's got a private interest in our information. The government of Canada is selling us out. So whether it's Brookfield, whether it's, I don't know, maybe Qatar, who knows what there's Carney. I lean more towards China, but we're being sold out to a private sector somewhere. Some private sector is going to have all our information and control, is what it looks like to me. I might be a little off on that, but when I see that the government is coordinating with the private sector, look at the track record of this Liberal government under Trudeau and now Carney. When they get involved with the private sector, it's as corrupt can be. Digital ID in Canada. Canada's system emphasizes a decentralized, privacy-focused, pan-Canadian trust framework. A trust framework. We got to trust them. Developed by the Digital ID and Authentication Council of Canada, the DIACC. This framework allows provinces, territories, and private entities like banks to issue verifiable digital credentials without a single national database, promoting user control and interoperability. I don't believe that for 1 second. I have never seen the Liberals tell the truth yet. Key features users store credentials in digital wallets on their phones. That sounds safe, yeah. Sharing necessary data. Yeah, that sounds safe, yeah. Via QR codes or biometrics. Supports single sign-on for over 270 federal services, reducing password fatigue. It's going to be so much simpler. Where you got 270 federal services that you're going to need it for. Of course, it's voluntary, but you won't be able to get into them. The biometrics of facial recognition used sparingly, combined with used sparingly. How can you have a biometric that's used sparingly? It's on there because you have to use it every time you log into anything. So there's a bunch of BS right there, combined with other verifiers for security. So why would you need a password if they're going to have facial recognition? Recent milestone in August 2025, the Digital Governance Standards Institute approved this National Code of Practice for Digital Trust and Interoperability. The adoption use cases, provinces like BC and Ontario have piloted mobile driver's licenses, the MDLs, which they have in the US now. Over 700,000 legal sector identity verifications, 2023-2024, via PCTF certified tools. I never looked into what that actually stands for. Air Canada rolled out app-based digital ID for hands-free airport boarding using facial scans. Full national rollout is targeted for 2026, with pilots expanding in 2025. And in the U.S., lack a unified national system, relying on state initiatives guided by federal standards. The National Institute of Standards and Technology and mobile driver's licenses, with 15 states issuing them as of late 2025. MDLs comply with standards for secure contactless verification, stored in state apps or digital wallets like an Apple Wallet. Federal push by a Real ID Act, enhancements for domestic flights and federal access. That is in right now in Canada for domestic flights. They're going to want to see, already want to see your digital ID. States like Arizona, Colorado, Louisiana lead with MDLs for traffic stops, age verification, and banking. A September 2025 Thales survey found 65% of U.S. respondents interested in MDLs, digital IDs, preferring government-issued versions over tech. 65% of people don't want the digital IDs. They want the old-fashioned identifications. What's wrong with the picture on a driver's license? Both Canada and USA are advancing these systems. That's driver's licenses, passports, or government-issued credentials stored on smartphones or apps. Canada is more federally coordinated with private sector input again. Who is the private sector that's looking after this? Give you one guess. While the USA is state-led with federal guidelines. Still not good. So, the key features is store your credentials in digital wallets on your phones, sharing only necessary data, support single sign-on for over 270 federal services, and biometrics. You're going to be needing that to sign on to the internet. We all know that, what this is all about, so you can be tracked, shut down, punished, thrown in a dungeon. And Bill Gates won't be there. In August 2025, Canada adopted a national identity standard based on the PCTF to advance trust and interoperability. I don't think it makes us any more trusting of this government. Quebec. Good, Quebec adopted national digital identity legislation in October of 2025, a historic step for provincial standardization. Quebec's Digital Identity Project, outlined in Bill 82, was introduced in March 25 to enable secure online interactions. That's to get on any government site, I would imagine, or banks. Ontario's digital ID program remains in development as of August of 2025 with no official launch date. I'm sure Dougie Ford's right on that. They're going after the real estate. Federal government's digital ambition 24 to 25, released in February 25, focuses on user-centric services and data-driven decisions. The aviation industry pushed for digital ID and biometrics for travel in October of 2025, noting the EU's upcoming program. Like I said earlier, the airlines have already got it for domestic flights. They want to see your biometrics. They want to see your digital ID. September 25 survey indicated growing public support for mobile driver's licenses and digital IDs. This is called government propaganda. I'll use, the term instead of BS. Major banks backed CA 185 million Canadian for digital ID supercluster initiative, and the Liberal government advanced digital ID plans in October 2025. Did anybody hear about that? Is that I guess nobody watches CBC, and they wouldn't say anything about it anyway. It's all secret. You find out when they ask you for it. So, what else they got? Public sentiment on X shows some opposition, with users linking digital IDs to broader concerns like privacy and global control, though adoption in sectors like legal, over 700,000 transactions, 23-24, indicates practical progress. Digital ID in the U.S. lacks a unified national ID. They get the MDLs in the U.S. and the Real ID apps for verification at airports and other sites. The U.S. is going down the same road with us, folks. We're going down the same road together. I think Canada's going down faster and harder. We shall see how it plays out between the two countries. This just goes on to basically it's the same thing. There's some cross-border initiatives for getting across the border, but there's concerns that it's voluntary, right? But if you're on your pensions or something, well, it's already you gotta get your ID to get your pensions. You can't go on the internet. Oh, you gotta get your ID. It's voluntary, but you gotta get your ID. We gotta know who you are, what you're up to. So, I actually watched a video just before I come on by Dan Dix, Press for Truth. It's about a 10-minute video. I don't have the link. He just posted it just a few hours ago. It's worth watching. It's on the digital IDs. And he's got 3 bullet points that he brings up there about how to try to, you can't avoid it, but ways that we can try to fight it. There is one way to avoid it, and it's a link to a company that he has on there. I haven't checked it out yet. So, anyways, it's going down fast. Canada, the U.S. seem to be the holdouts for a while. It's quite surprising. I'm surprised Trudeau wasn't in there right at the beginning, banging out the orders for us to have it. Well, don't forget about your medical records. They're going to be on there too, right? Because if they're not up to date, you don't get anything. You don't get it in the grocery stores. You don't get your gas for your vehicle. You don't get anything. But it's voluntary, just the same. Right? You have to get it. I don't know. The trucker convoy had a pretty good turnout. They made examples of Chris and Tamara to try to intimidate people from, how dare you speak out against us? We're your overlords. So, I don't know. And the elbows up crowd gonna stand with us? No. Because we're conspiracy theorists. There's no such thing as government control over you, you know. Like, hey, we vote them in. You know, they're looking out for our best interests. Scary, isn't it? Damn scary. So, kind of where we're at right now here with this Carney show. I don't know if I seen there was actual information on here on the airports. You know, the need for the ID for commercial flights, but more so than that, the government sites. People were trying to get on and said you have to accept. You click here to accept to continue. But you can't continue unless you agree to the digital information. How is that voluntary? That's like, I don't know. It's like you don't have to do it, but you can stay home. You're not going to have a home though, because you're not going to pay your rent or your mortgage or anything, because you can't get into your bank account. So you're going to be out on the street. Dino, what's his Carney budget an election? It's a friggin' scam, is what it is. He's trying to get an election going, and there's enough idiots out there. He's counting on the elbozos, rather, to give him a majority. And it's a scary thought, because I think there's enough of them that they're still in that dazed state, eh? So it don't look good, and they're gonna push it at House Speaker there. Is it McMillan? I think, I can't remember. I should know. I can't stand to look at him or listen to him, but they're all for it. They're saying, oh, those conservatives are going to cause an election. And I don't know if I could bring up that interview that Pierre had. Let me see if I can find that for you. It was just on. Anybody that watches Moose probably has seen it. And it was pretty good, though. She tried to pigeonhole him, but she's not smart enough to do that. I don't know when it was aired, but it's, I'll see if I can find it here. I'll do a quick search for it. It should come up pretty quick. BBC, that should do it. It's not like he's on CBC a lot. I entered Pierre Poilievre CBC. I thought I'd get the interview with Rosie Barton. It said I got defund the CBC. So I don't know when that one was aired, but I don't see it here. But she was just rude as can be, typical Rosie Barton. I'm surprised she didn't have her Carney hat on, or anyways, no, I don't see it. Maybe CBC took it off. They might have. Might have taken it down, but I doubt it, because Pierre would have it. This is his latest. We got we also have our Minister of Public Safety there going on about the buyback program that's not working out too good for them. Didn't work out too good in Cape Breton anyways. That was their trial. This no, that's not it. Anyways, okay, I won't keep on that. I was trying to find it, but it has disappeared into the netherworld of the internet. But I do have this, and I'm going to torture you people. You're going to hate me for this one. You're going to hate me. But I'm going to bring it up for you. It's only 2 minutes long, okay? 2 minutes and 18 seconds of just horrible BS coming out of our fearless or whatever leader.
It's our country. It's your future. And we are going to give it back to you. For decades, Canada's economy became more closely linked to the United States. The U.S. is the world's largest economy, so on the one hand, that created tons of new business and jobs for us. But it also meant that when things change suddenly for the worse down there, it causes big problems up here, and it's hard to control what happens next. As Prime Minister, my number one focus is to put Canadians back in control by building here at home and building new partnerships abroad, so that we're not reliant on the United States. To do that, we will have to make some difficult choices, responsible choices. Federal government spending has grown massively over the last few years. That's not sustainable. We will cut wasteful government spending. We'll make massive investments in the things that grow our economy.
Yeah. So, what did I hit the wrong button here? It's I have to go to here and see Paul Stewart. It's for the doubters proclaiming Carney's incapable, achieved nothing as prime minister. I asked Grok and ChatGPT, what has Mark Carney achieved during his career and separately during his time as prime minister? Educate yourself and enjoy. Enjoy yourself. Cheers. That is a bunch of that's an elbow. That's an elbozo. Sean Elizabeth, yeah, he's great at making announcements about what he's going to do, but then he never does it. I asked Copilot AI, and it said Carney was not Prime Minister of Canada, so I won't believe anything from AI. Now, has Mark Carney been a total failure as Prime Minister? I see one comment. It's probably from Grok. Yeah. It says Mark Carney has never served as Prime Minister of Canada. Justin Trudeau holds that role as of November 2025. Carney's career highlights include stabilizing economies as Governor of Bank of Canada and Bank of England, plus UN climate finance roles. So Grok is saying he's never served as Prime Minister. So, he replaced the carbon tax with a green incentive program. So basically took the visible tax and made it indirect so that it's not so easily seen. Recognized Palestine as a state. That one takes the cake. As others have shown, AI is quite fallible and in some cases denies Mark Carney being Prime Minister at all. Get your sprockets clean, Paul. Appointed, policy work. Theory, no practice. Yeah, because only an artificial intelligence will say what you want to hear. Any real intelligence will tell you the truth, which is Carney is nothing more than Trudeau 2.0. He's not very well liked, is he? So, where did I stop it here?
That's not sustainable. We will cut wasteful government spending. We'll make massive investments in the things that grow our economy. Homes, new ports, electricity grids, the major infrastructure that will unlock the full potential of Canada. We've built big before. In the 1950s, Canada set out to build the St. Lawrence Seaway.
Yeah, well, there was definitely nothing done over the last decade, was there? And there's not going to be anything done with this clown either, because he's going all the way back to the St. Lawrence Seaway. I don't know. He was pretty young to be there. I guess he would have been pretty young there. He didn't have anything to do with it anyways, unless he claims he did.
It cost us the equivalent of about $4 billion in today's money. Since then, the Seaway has shipped more than $1 trillion worth of cargo to the world.
He's going to go all the way back to the St. Lawrence Seaway. How about pipelines? None of those built. Not going to be either. Jerk.
Tens of thousands of Canadians, trade workers, business owners, and their employees have gone to work every day because of that Seaway. We're going to build big things again. When we do, we're going to use Canadian steel, Canadian aluminum, lumber, technology, and Canadian workers to do it.
Okay, that's enough of that. I'm not going to listen to that anymore. Because we know there's not one word of truth passing over those lying lips. Liquid Gal, everything he said on building has Brookfield's hands on it, you know it. Yeah. But the elbow crowd, they like it. we get this is scary. This is the support, okay? Look at this one. Jill Canadian, she is a nutcase. PM Carney has money. He didn't have to get into this fight. You're not going to find this talent again. Nope. Polyev doesn't know anyone on world stage. He's not a negotiator. Carney was appointed head of Bank of Canada during the bank meltdown. U.S. Our banks didn't shake. Yeah, but he didn't bail us out. No. That was our Minister of Finance under Harper. Jiggly News, this is another weird dude. Pierre would have signed whatever Trump wanted and would have told Canadians it's a great deal. No. Cult MTL, this is a bad one too. A large majority of Canadians believe Mark Carney would secure a better trade deal for Canada than Pierre Poilievre. In their minds. Rod Vanya, you're just lying. PMMC only promised to get the best deal for Canada. And by the way, what are you promising? Snake oil? See? Another loser. Well, we do have this.
Who are passionate about the American-Canadian relationship. I'm disappointed that I came to Canada, a Canada that it is very, very difficult to find Canadians who are passionate about the American-Canadian relationship. I'm disappointed that I came to Canada, a Canada that it is very, very difficult to find Canadians who are...
Then there's that. Yeah. Wow, boys, a lot of liberals on here. They're starting to show up more on X. I guess Blue Sky they weren't getting anywhere there. They'd throw some dirt over this way. If you missed Mark Carney's short but powerful speech at the APEC meeting in South Korea, then you need to watch it below. It's magnificent. Well, we're not watching that, folks. It's 10 minutes long. We're not going to do that. This, I I got to get out of here because these people are not mentally stable. It's an insult to our intelligence. I'm just wondering what happened to that interview with Rosie, because if you haven't seen it, Catch Moose, he's got it on there. Trump don't like us now. Well, Trump says he likes the Canadians. He just doesn't like the Liberal Party. But then he says, oh, Carney's a great guy. You know, I really like Carney. He said that about Trudeau, too. You see how that worked out. Not good for Trudeau and not good for us. Pierre, where did you put that? Well, let's look at the buyback, okay? Let's look at Gary Anandasanguri. That's quite a handle. Gotta get back to the start here because this is from Pierre.
I want to ask you about firearms and firearm crime, because really when you look at some of the statistics from police, it suggests that most of the guns used in the commission of a crime in this country don't come from legal firearms owners in this country. They come from the United States. I was looking at some of the data. The Toronto Police Service very helpfully supplied some. 90% of the guns that they take off the streets as part of a sweep when it comes to a crime come from the United States. Illegal firearms from the Americans. Why crack down on legal firearms owners who arguably go through very stringent requirements to get a license and then have to follow a bunch of paperwork and regulations and what have you? Why go after them and not pour the $742 million you've allocated for this gun buyback program into beefing up the things that are happening at the border to stop what is really the main source of crime guns in this country?
JP, I've outlined the other efforts we're making on firearms, including additional resources at the border, additional RCMP, CPSC officers, the changes we're making to
is it public money well spent? You know, we obviously are in a finite budget situation. You're about to cut across the board some 15% if the Prime Minister gets his way. $742 million that is going to be spent on this buyback program. Couldn't you deploy that to other areas, including cracking down on where the guns are actually coming from, where these crime guns are sourced, the United States? Like, I think in this era where money is tight, does it make sense to expend this sort of money and police people who are not largely responsible for the gun crimes that we're seeing?
Well, that's all a joke anyways, a farce, but I think they said there was going to be, was it 70,000 or 90,000 government employees are going to be laid off. All voted for them. Sometimes you got to be careful and get what you ask for. So, anyways, they're going to be on. Oh, that's why they extended the EI benefits for anybody that hasn't been on it for a few years. They're going to go to 65 weeks or something like that. That's to kind of smooth it over with those unemployed federal government workers and the auto workers and the steel workers and the forestry workers and on and on and on. So all these people, I don't think they're going to vote for the guy that put them out of work. Come to find out, in his constituency, it's an empty office. He doesn't even show up there. So obviously he doesn't care about the constituents. He doesn't care about any Canadians, except unless they're waving a radical flag or something, then that takes priorities. I can't find it. Oh, here it is. You finally found it. I will bring this one up because he sticks it to Rosie really good. She tries to stiff him and it doesn't work because she's not smart enough.
It seems like everywhere Mark Carney goes with these grand meetings and photo ops, we end up with more tariffs. His failures abroad are costing us at home.
He met with the Chinese president, and they made a decision that their officials were going to get together and try and solve the trade irritants. Well, he is trying to make some progress. No, you don't see those things as a bit of progress?
What progress? Can you name one tariff line that he's reduced abroad?
Not at this stage, no.
Not one. He said 7 months.
So what would
He's been on 20 trips.
What would you like to see him do then? What do you think is the missing piece here?
Keep his promise.
Yeah, but how? It's easy to say that. It's the how that's difficult.
Well, the how, I said that I would face President Trump and the rest of the world from a position of strength. Right now, we're in a position of weakness. The Americans know we can't sell our goods to anyone else because we don't have pipelines and LNG plants to get our most valuable export to other markets. I would pass the Canadian Sovereignty Act, which would rapidly greenlight and legalize pipelines, LNG plants, and other infrastructure.
But the government is doing some of that. There's an LNG plant that's happening. There are major projects.
By Stephen Harper.
Well, there's an expansion of it. There's an expansion.
Right.
And the Major Projects Office, it does allow them to get around laws and regulations. You know, that's the goal of it.
That's the goal. We're 7 months in, and the clock is ticking. I think we've been through enough goal setting, and now it's time for results achieved, and we're not getting any results. Mr. Carney won't even tell us if he supports an oil pipeline to the Pacific. His energy minister says it's just too hypothetical. What do you mean hypothetical? We had a project that was approved prior to the Liberals taking office. So here we are with no progress on expanding our resources or getting things done. It's all very good that he's setting up these offices and agencies in Ottawa, but I've got news for him. We're not going to make our economy economically independent by setting up new bureaucracies in Ottawa.
I want to ask you about leadership because I know that it's probably on your mind. You have a leadership review coming up in January. How confident are you that you will be okay, that you will survive that vote?
Very.
Yeah. Why? What makes you confident?
Well, because I'm going to focus on doing my job. And people say, well, you're going to get distracted with this. And the answer is no, because the same thing I have to do in January is what I have to do on election day, which is to do a good job.
Yeah.
And that means doing what I was sent here to do by the record 8.3 million people who voted for us, which is to fight for an affordable life, fight for our young people to be able to afford homes, fight for parents to be able to have safe streets for their kids to grow up on. And that's the job I'm doing. And that's why I believe I'll win the support of both the party and the country.
And you think that the party will be willing to give you a second chance? Because the last time they did that was Stephen Harper.
And look how that turned out.
Yeah, that's right.
For 10 years.
So do you think that
they pointed that one out?
Do you think that they'll be willing to give you a second chance, Mr. Poilievre?
I think so. I'm fighting for the things that our party and our country need. Mm-hmm. And the great thing about our party is we're united around the things that we believe in and are fighting for. We want balanced budgets and low taxes so people can afford good lives. We want to lock up criminals so that our people are safe. We want to get immigration and borders back under control. We want a common Canadian identity that unites us all. We want to bring back the promise of this country, that anyone who works hard gets a great life. And so the great thing I have, the benefit I have, is a party whose values and interests are aligned with the country's. And that's why I think both January and the next election will go in the right direction.
Listen, really appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, you got to give her an E for effort. She tried to pigeonhole him, but she doesn't have the qualifications to do that. That's another elbows up. She knows that if he gets in, the funds are cut off. The money train is going to be derailed. So they're all nervous. All of the media, mainstream media, that is. So keep it up, Pierre. Keep it up. We're losing our land here in Canada now. The natives are swinging the deal. They're saying it's theirs, and the government's caving in. And there's a native band in Washington State now who wants a piece of British Columbia. Quebec's losing a big portion of the province. I don't think that's going to fly, but we'll see. It's a starts with all the land acknowledgements, of course. There's Pierre Poilievre has the highest record of spreading misinformation over any other Canadian politician. Pierre is unqualified, unfit to lead anything. All he does is lie for a living while leeching off of taxpayers. Never Pierre, he's a danger to our country and our democracy. Kim Bo. I'm going to check, because I bet you. No, I'm wrong. I thought Kim Bo might have she, her, he, him, or something behind, the description or something. They usually do. So, some of this stuff, I don't even want to waste my time bringing it up. It's so ridiculous. This is kind of scary here. This is in the U.S. I know, no wonder Trump's trying to get rid of the immigrants, the illegals.
He's brilliant. He's going to be working to make sure that individuals who got Social Security numbers in this country should be using them for the right things, and they shouldn't be on our benefit programs. We have over 6,000 individuals that have been identified through their work already that have been on the terrorist watch list, that they are known criminals.
How does that happen, Madam Secretary?
It happens when you put a train wreck like Joe Biden in the White House, and it's going to be a lot of work to clean it up. But just in the last 4.5 years, we've had over 9 million people get Social Security numbers that are not U.S. citizens. So they may be people who have some sort of legal status, but a lot of them are illegals that were given a Social Security number in just the last 4.5 years that we're going to have to figure out if they should be here, if they are here legally under a program, and if they are here illegally, then they certainly shouldn't be using that Social Security number to be on our programs, and they should be removed or given the opportunity to go home on their own. That's the one thing President Trump would like, is everybody to be given the opportunity to go home if they would wish to.
6,000 on the terrorist watch list.
He's brilliant. He's going to be working to make sure that individuals who got...
Sorry. I don't know why that one started up again. Yeah, 6,000. Just imagine what's going on here in Canada, how many are collecting benefits. Look at those protests, Palestinian protests, their supporters, the nut bars. How many of them are on our taxpayers' money? So there's U.S. is in bad shape. Trump's trying to straighten it out, but they're in bad shape. That SNAP program, I'm starting to learn a little bit about it, but apparently there's a lot of them on there that are illegals. So, and Bill Gates caved in on the global warming scam. So they've sprayed us. They've contaminated our soil, our food. They've not allowed to have plastic bags. I curse that Trudeau every time I come out of a store. I got some stuff under my arm in one hand and under the other arm. And I'm trying to get the door open. There's stuff falling. I go, you rotten piece of crap. Rot in hell. So, plastic bags. He's still haunting us, folks. What he did over 10 years, 9.5 years, whatever it was, it's just, I don't know if we're ever going to be able to reverse that. So, here's a quick image here for you to see. This is the difference between the two couples. You know, I don't know if that'll come up. Yeah, there it is. Pierre and his wife and Carney and his wife. Representing the country. I think I can see who I would like to see in Ottawa. So, definitely not the two that are in there. Okay, I'm going to play this one because this is a satire, so I'll bring this one up. Kill a few more minutes here.
The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperations, is over.
Mark Carney is returning home from South Korea without any big deals that will make a difference in Canada's trade war with the U.S.
I did apologize to the president, put in place that advertisement, and so I apologize to him. I'm the one who is responsible in my role as prime minister for the relationship with the president of the United States, and the federal government is responsible for the foreign relationship with the U.S. government.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore.
Yeah, that's the state of affairs. That was a quick one, but true enough. I don't know what else we got here. See if I can find a couple of quick ones. That's a good one there. Canada's been training doctors for dictators. They get their training here, and then they go back to their countries. We don't get any doctors. Here's the Mark Nixon 8 hours ago. This is the Conservatives at 42%, plus 1, Liberals 40% flat, NDP 8, Bloc 6, Greens 3, PPC 1. Federal vote intention 42% for the Liberals, 40, or Conservatives rather, 40 for Liberal. Liberals should be down around 28, but hopefully they will get there. Yeah, oh, what's Karina Gould saying here? Might as well check it out and see while I'm scrolling through here.
Canadians pay taxes when they earn a paycheck, when they buy a house, when they own any property, when they spend money, and of course, even when they die. So it does feel for the average Canadian that there's no way to avoid the taxman unless, of course, you're wealthy enough to set up an offshore tax haven. And so Canadians were shocked to learn that the Prime Minister once chaired a pension fund that was deliberately based out of Bermuda, which is one of the world's top tax havens, to avoid paying the same taxes that every Canadian family would have to pay. Could you please explain in plain terms what a tax haven is, why corporations use them, and what challenges the CRA faces when trying to collect taxes from entities that operate in Canada but shift their profits abroad?
Tax haven is a term for a jurisdiction that imposes low, minimal, or no income tax, often corporate income tax, but can be personal income tax as well. Sometimes it's a special regime that's available only to foreign entities with the objective occasionally of attempting to attract investment income from other countries. So that's kind of a definition of a tax haven. In my experience, corporations generally are motivated to return profits to shareholders. That's their bottom line objective most of the time, is to benefit shareholders. And so they look to provide the highest after-tax return possible. So they're looking for low tax rates. That's a reasonable objective for business people. Our challenge at CRA is to make sure that profits attributable to Canada are properly reported in Canada, and that profits that belong to other countries, such as important trading partners like the United States and the Europeans, Japanese, Koreans, that profits earned in those countries can be taxable appropriately in those countries as well.
Would you agree that ordinary Canadians don't have the luxury of setting up these complicated offshore tax havens, or tax structures rather, in countries like Bermuda to avoid paying taxes? Because they're not simple structures.
There are certain transaction costs that have to be taken into consideration for offshore structure.
Would you say that ordinary Canadians would not have the luxury to set those structures up then?
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's Canada. So, Carney says Canada has what the world wants. Southeast Asia met with leaders from across the globe to build new opportunities for Canadian workers to unlock new markets and customers for Canadian businesses, but it didn't happen. So, yes, this is something here that is just so disgusting. You probably caught this. This is on Rebel News. This is our chief of our medical, our top general. This is so disgusting and so disappointing for the armed forces. And right around Remembrance Day, too. This is disgusting.
Systemic racism, racial discrimination, and harassment are an affront to these values, and yet we allowed these injustices to occur and fester within our ranks. Therefore, on behalf of the Canadian Armed Forces, I offer my most sincere and deepest apologies. I apologize to every CAF member, veteran who experienced racism, discrimination, and harassment. And I acknowledge we failed you. Systemic racism, racial...
So, you just threw all the Canadian Armed Forces under the bus, sir. That's a Trudeau appointee. Get her out. She is disgusting. Just about as good as our Mary Simon, Governor General. Wait until Remembrance Day when they turn it into an event to celebrate all except the men who actually fought for Canada. Yeah, like this clown here. This just in from the White House. Here's an example of what Americans think. This, Canada's top general, this full waterworks apology is because Canada didn't DEI hard enough. How many times have I told you all that we need to kick the Canadian military out of joint billets? They are toxic. They have destroyed it. The Liberals have destroyed the military, and it wasn't just Trudeau started with it. It was Chrétien, Martin, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, every one of them. Contrast this DEI sack of crap with Pete Hegseth. No kidding. I like this one, the official. Bro, you seeing this? Hold up, get a line. Bro, yeah. Imagine them looking at that. Putin, Kim, looking at Canada and just cracking up. When are we moving into Canada? When are we taking over? I'm convinced the hunters within Canada could overthrow this armed forces. That's really scary. Think how easy another country could, especially now that Carney has severed ties with America. No kidding, eh? I served for a decade. I would never sign up again with this liberal government and their DEI general serving as CDS. It's a clown show, total feminization of what is supposed to be a fighting force, not crying, sobbing, woke mob. This is cosplay. Generals look something like this. Yes, it's exactly what a general looks like. It's exactly what we need. We haven't had one for quite a while. Dollar General, yeah. Note that U.S. recruiting goals are through the roof since Hegseth came on board and eliminated all the woke trash. Military forces are no place for woke, DEI, identity, politics, crap. That's right. A salute for the general weakling, yeah. This it's embarrassing, it's disgusting, it's anti-Canadian. DEI general, DEI military, DEI procurement. So question, would you die for your country? If the answer is no, something is seriously wrong with Canada. Our top general is crying while others around the world are laughing their asses off. Canada is an unserious country. CAF should be pandering to young Canadian males who need discipline and want to shoot guns and fight and enforce peace. Instead, the CAF goes DEI. My son should be the person the CAF recruits, but like my 15-year-old son says, it's all fags and retards. We're going down big time. And then our bonehead prime minister cuts ties with the U.S., the only country that had our backs. And he just single-handedly, Carney, cut our throats. Those with a clear vision of the way the world works will be quite pleased. Yes, they are having a good chuckle out of this. So, we're not going to get the troops up. Then I don't blame them. I wouldn't want them to win. I'd rather have them be out in the civvy world with us. Would you sign up if you knew the person standing beside you didn't have your back? You might say something that offends them, they'll end up and walk away. Oh, no, they would have you charged. If you didn't call that he, him, or she, her, they would have you charged, put up on charges, and they would stick. Canada's ripe for the taking. A few weekend shooting clubs could probably get together and just take over. Oh, yeah. Come on in. I got two flags, a Canadian and American flag. Just in case. Who the hell would want to serve under a woke DEI libtarded government with tampons in men's bathrooms? That's another good point, too. Yeah, they put tampons in the men's bathrooms. Canadians in NATO wouldn't have to actually eliminate the Russians because the Russians would just die laughing at them. There are racists in all races. Exactly. Saying that, our Liberal government has told us there's systemic racism in our justice system, the RCMP, health services, social services, educational system, and now our military. Perhaps Dr. Sowell frames it more accurately. Racism is not dead, but it is on life support, kept alive by politicians, race hustlers, and people who get a sense of superiority by denouncing others as racists. Media and the liberals, yeah. That's it. How long before the CAF uses this quote from Trudeau as their motto? If you kill your enemies, they win. Yeah, that was Trudeau. Trudeau's wise remarks. He'll go down in history as one of his wise remarks. I say we ask Pete Hegseth to come in and give a speech instead. Compare Canada is a joke on defense. We'll be fighting wars. Dildos and feathers will flood the enemy with tears. Our bullets will be hurt feelings. What a sad case this country has become. Well, folks, I got to leave it at that because, unfortunately, it's true. What a sad case this country has become. They want to get our digital IDs. They want to sell us out to China. They want men in dresses in the military, the whole military full of cleaners. So folks, thanks for joining in, and someday it'll be better. We'll get better news, hopefully. Bye for now. Have a great week, wonderful week, and do it again next week. Thanks so much for joining in and hanging in here till the end. Always good to see you all on here. So take care, and we will do it again next week. Bye for now. God bless.